Welcome to this Tutor to You sociology topic video on state policy and the family, looking at the impacts of policy on family structures. In our previous videos, we've looked at the different theoretical views of family policy and the policies introduced by different political parties. However, we also need to consider the impacts of social policies on different aspects of family life. This is a common question on the AQA A-Level specification, particularly when tackling the 10-mark outline and explain questions, which rely upon a student being able to apply their knowledge of one area of the specification to another. In this video, we're going to look at how policy might impact on the structure of the family and the different forms of family. Once again, we will need to look at this by examining direct policies and indirect policies. Direct policies will be those policies whose aim is to specifically change the types of family structures or strengthen a specific family structure. For example, tax allowances for married couples reinforces the idea that the most desirable type of family for society is a nuclear one. Indirect policies will not have intended to alter the structure of family or to promote a specific form of family. However, it will have done so as an unintended consequence of another change. For example, greater equality in employment, such as the Equal Pay Act, would be targeted at females in employment, but will have the unintended consequence of women being more career focused, delaying marriage, or choosing to have a career over family. First of all, we need to look at some of the ways in which structures of the family have changed and then apply policies as an explanation of these changes. An increase in cohabitation and people delaying marriage can be seen to be a result of social changes, but has also been impacted by changes to social policy. Increased divorce may be directly affected by changes in legislation, such as the Divorce Reform Act. However, there are other impacts of policy which have led to changes in family structures linked to divorce. The rise of same-sex families has been impacted quite directly through policy, particularly in the early part of this century, while the increase in lone parent families can be seen to be a result of a range of different social policies over the last 50 years. One of the changes in family and household structures is the increase in cohabitation and the delay of marriage. Social policies have indirectly impacted on this by promoting gender equality in the workplace and changing the aspirations of women, and this is evidenced by Sue Sharp's study into girls' changing career aspirations. The impact of policies such as the Equal Pay Act and Sexual Discrimination Act has been an increased focus on their career by young women, and as a result they choose to delay getting married and having children. This has been directly influenced by increased control over their reproductive rights, the legalisation of abortion and the provision of contraception on prescription, which has meant that they can live with their partner and maintain control over when they choose to have children. A further impact of this is that there is greater geographical mobility in their careers and in their lifestyle choices, with the growth of living apart together and the increase in young females travelling before settling down to raise children, if they do so. One of the more obvious ways in which social policy has impacted on family structures is through the Divorce Reform Act, meaning it's easier to obtain a divorce, although subsequent amendments to this have looked to preserve traditional family types. This has impacted on family structures by having more lone parent families, more lone person households, and more reconstituted families. Further policy that has impacted on this is the creation of the welfare state and lone parent benefits. This meant that resident parents could get financial support from the state and were more likely to leave unhappy relationships. In recent years, policies such as tax credits and lone parent benefits can be seen to have aided lone parents, although under the coalition government and the Conservative government, this support has been scaled back by a range of austerity policies. Over recent years, there's been an increase in legislation to improve the legal equality of same-sex couples, from the decriminalisation of male homosexuality in the late 1960s to reducing the age of consent for consenting males to the same as that of consenting heterosexual couples. The introduction of civil partnerships in 2005 and equal rights for same-sex marriages in 2013 have gone a long way to changing social attitudes to relationships, although some governments have introduced policies such as Section 28 and the recent pressures on the teaching of sexual relationships in schools that have actively been seen to be marginalising LGBTQ groups. Changes to adoption and fostering legislation in the early part of this century were also pivotal in the development of same-sex families, with recognition of LGBTQ families as being as good a parent as heterosexual couples. A final change to family structures that has been affected by social policy is the increase of lone parent families. Now, I've already suggested that this has increased as a result of divorce, and I've also explained that the creation of the welfare state has allowed a parent to bring up their children alone with state support, such as childcare, child tax credits, etc. However, critics have suggested that this has led to welfare dependency, and lone parents are often attacked by the new right and have been subjected to cuts to their benefits in recent years. However, some choose to be lone parents. The availability of IVF, adoption and fostering has given people the opportunities to choose to have children without a partner. A further consideration here is the creation of the Child Support Agency, which, despite its critics, attempted to provide financial support for lone parents through using legal means to acquire income from non-resident parents and make them personally responsible for financially supporting their children. That concludes this Tutor to You Sociology topic video on state policy and the family, looking at the impacts of policy on family structures. Thanks for watching.